All right, I believe I'm live. First of all, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you Connect House for putting this on. Bob, Allen, awesome stuff beforehand. Really appreciate that. Really great insights as well. And I have to say that I'm very happy to be here. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Happy days from across the pond in the United States. Hello, procurement pros. By now, you guys probably know that GPT is not a popular, edgy new rock band, but is in fact an AI agent. My mom, on the other hand, is talking to Chad GPT right now, getting assistance with her taxes. Maybe you want to join that webinar if you are still slightly confused and confusing Chat GPT with Chad GPT. Anyways, we are living in an incredible time for procurement. First, I finally get an opportunity to talk about the stuff I've been doing for the last 20 years without sounding like I have a turd in my cheek. Less time troubleshooting SAP info records with AP and more time focused on strategy. Although for those of you who don't know me very well, I did meet my wife who is an AP professional. I'm digressing slightly. Before I give you guys all the details of my love life, let me first share with you something about my professional life. So who is this guy? Who am I? I am Paul Malott. I'm a doctoral candidate at the University of Michigan Flint. I'm not ashamed to admit I'm a procurement lifer. My career as a junior buyer began at ZF, formerly known as TRW, in the era of fax machines. There was a time when I spent hours getting lost with MapQuest, maybe 20 years ago, never found the supplier, looking for their facility, and unfortunately had to come back to the boss and explain spending $2,500 on a trip that didn't result in anything. So fast forward to today, I'm a consultant with PM & Co. and SourceFlow.ai. I save thousands of hours and hopefully thousands of dollars on introducing automations in procurement workflows. I am also a doctoral candidate, as mentioned, at the University of Flint. I focus on strategy, open source AI, and how concepts like the Dunning-Kruger effect influence leadership and decision making. Ultimately, guys, my goal here is to empower procurement professionals like myself, right, and you with smarter tools and strategies to create value for your organizations from now into the future. On the personal side, I'm a father to three amazing kids. And if there's one thing that they taught me, it's that adaptability is non-negotiable. So let's keep that in mind as we talk through today's agenda and where we're headed today. So first, we're going to chat a little bit about artificial intelligence's glamorous glow up. We'll think about it as a family, from growing up from an awkward teenager to someone who actually gets things done, and how this influences and redefines procurement. Then we'll talk a little bit about what makes agentic AI tick and what that means for procurement. Then I'll give you my 411 on AI and ethics by discussing confidence and competence. And I'll give you some lessons from the Dunning-Kruger effect and hopefully help you understand your limits in leveraging AI and its strengths. And then we'll create, throughout this whole process, we'll create an agentic AI system using agentic AI because nothing boosts confidence and competence like preparing for a demo, right? And then I'll empower you a little bit for the future by diving into 5, 10, and 20 years from now. And finally, I'll issue a little challenge, should you accept it, to crush your first 30-day AI experiment and bring something to your team in the Connect House group. By the end of this session, hopefully you're energized like me about AI and what influences it'll have on procurement. And you might be a little scared, but don't worry. I'll be sure to equip you with the right tools to make sure you're moving ahead in the future appropriately. So let's get started with a little pop quiz. Make sure everybody's paying attention. Let me introduce you all to YesBot. Yep, that is right. It's an AI coworker who's supposed to help make smarter decisions, but constantly says yes to every decision, never says no. These are real procurement statistics, and this question is a very simple quiz. There's really only one right answer here. I'd like to see some in the chat if I could. Basically, 57% of procurement managers say they spend more time emailing suppliers than doing strategic work. True. Should we automate the communications here in this demo? The second thing, 42% of procurement professionals admit they struggle to manage supplier performance. Maybe we should build a tool to provide instant insights into delay and quality issues. The third here is a whopping 68% of procurement teams report wasting hours analyzing mismatched RFQ responses. Should we automate the analysis of RFQs? I don't see anything in the chat. That's good. One or two yeses. I see a thumbs up. Yes, yes, yes from Sophie. Very good. That's okay, Sophie. Thank you very much. What I wanted to say is that we're going to do what I want to do. Anyways, here we're going to go ahead and build an RFQ system because this is my my presentation, okay? And I've already prepared some of the documentation for it. Thank you. I see plenty of yeses here. Right now, I'm going to pull up what's called a Replit agent, www.replit.com. Not affiliated with them at all. I should have tried to before I got on this call. But I'm going to use a Replit agent here, which is an agentic AI system specific within the confines of coding, right, to build us the RFQ analyzer. Okay. What I've done here is I've taken from ChatGPT. I said, please, Chad, hey, Chad, what's going on? Please do me a favor and write me a description for a Replit application, a web application that'll compare RFQ responses. And I've taken and simply copied and pasted it into the Replit agent. And I'm going to tell the agent to start building, okay? And here it's what I want to highlight is that this is a system capable of autonomy, intelligence, and proactivity in real time. So with what I said to ChatGPT, this system is now reviewing my responses, and I'm basically bringing this agentic AI to life. And what it'll do for me is essentially interpret my request and tailor the outputs to what it believes to be the best approach. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. So in this particular Replit agent or agentic AI system, I've basically requested the agent to also integrate OpenAI, an OpenAI interface. So we'll use ChatGPT to do the analysis and perform the analysis, okay? And as you can see, it's already done its analysis. It said, hey, look, here's some other cool features you might want to add for now, and to hopefully avoid exploding my computer. I think we'll just go ahead and push approve the plan and start. As you can see, it's going to go through its activity, build the prototype. It'll build a database for me. And again, it's an example of agentic AI system working right now within the confines of coding an application for the web. While it works, let's talk a little bit about artificial intelligence's glow up. So let's dive into this evolution of AI by thinking of it as a family, as mentioned earlier, right? You've really got your predictive AI. I like to call it the 2000s friend that can analyze all kinds of data, but might not be able to tell you what happens next. It's reliable, yeah. Flexible, not so much. Then you move over to generative AI, and it's the content creator, really, of the AI family. It's perfect for tweets, images, and some cringeworthy poetry. But it's really not the best, in my opinion, at solving real-world problems. Then you get into the bread and butter of all this, the meat and potatoes, agentic AI. And this is the actual grown-up of the AI family, right? It doesn't just observe or create, it acts, adapts, and learns. Agentic AI plans ahead, handles complexity, and evolves every task as it completes it. So let's take a step back to the Replit agent. And if everything is going appropriately, it should have laid out some of our installing some of our packages, right? It's still working. It says, hey, it's created a database for me. And okay, we'll let it think. Eventually here it'll ask me for a secret code for API integration with OpenAI. So let's, from here, move on to what makes agentic AI tick and what does this mean for procurement? So you've kind of now seen and thought of AI as a family, saw the glow up, the glamorous glow up. And now we're into talking about really what the 4 key pillars are of agentic AI, right? Those are tool use, reflection and correction, planning and task structuring, and multi-agent collaboration. With tool use, you can imagine it similar to in procurement accessing real data in real time, real time data, and get these metrics immediately, what that means for procurement and the actionable insights that it gives us as procurement professionals. For reflection and correction, it's all about continuous learning. Agentic AI evaluates its own decisions, evaluates and identifies areas for improvement, and then strengthens its knowledge over time. So think of it like giving it a target to achieve cost and quality, and watching it. And agentic AI would basically be the process by which it goes to seek to achieve those targets, right? Then you have the planning and structuring. Agentic AI doesn't just execute the task, it aligns the procurement activities with the broader organizational goals. So whether you're managing ESG metrics or meeting a product launch, AI is going to help support, agentic AI will support your actions to drive these outcomes. And finally, my favorite and most important, in my opinion, is multi-agent collaboration. And really, this is multiple systems in procurement. Imagine it focusing on risk, compliance, sourcing activities, sourcing events, and these systems work in real time. This collaboration works to ensure that decisions are cohesive and keep the goals of the strategy of the organization at the forefront, right? Effectively, this supports breaking down silos and driving efficiency. So on the right side, you're going to asking the whole time, fine, Paul, well, why does this matter, right? Well, in my experience, the total variable cost, 80% of that is bill of material, okay? And when you think about that, that really means procurement is a critical driver of organizational strategy. It's up to us to leverage supplier data effectively, right? It's up to us to be like the octopus and have the tentacles out there with the supply base, evaluating, interpreting, and understanding their data to turn it into an actionable value proposition. And agentic AI is really important here because it allows us to do all this quicker, right? It allows us to take on what I like to call the mini CEO mindset of the supplier relationships, where we're balancing cost, risk, and brand objectives with precision. And it's my opinion that as the mini CEOs, it's up to us to translate that data into new value propositions for your own organization. Finally, with scalable collaboration, really, not only are we working within the confines of our own organization, we have the tentacles out with the supply base, feeding their value propositions, understanding their value propositions, but we're allowing that collaboration to fit within the confines of, say, your worst enemy, the controller of the organization, or other functions, and you're breaking down that silo, right? And while you're breaking down that silo, turning these insights into actions, you're really shaping the procurement function into the strategy driver, right? That mini CEO mindset that I want you to take from this conversation. Before I move on, we'll jump back to the RFQ analyzer. And as predicted, because I've done this 10 times before this, okay, it's asking me for my OpenAI credentials. Too bad you can't have it. But I'm going to go ahead and tell it to continue. And what it'll do now is integrate OpenAI, the security code with OpenAI into the background in the application itself. And when we revisit this, we should be seeing from the agentic AI system a web view that we can then trial and error. So probably my favorite slide, because I've put my foot in my mouth a few times in my career, especially using AI and no code automations, and over promised and under delivered. I'm also a big fan of this television show where these robots beat the hell out of each other. But this is an important slide, right? This is my version of AI ethics. And something we've all encountered, really, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Or DKE. And the Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where low competence breeds high confidence, and that can lead to poor decisions, right? So think of it like the one colleague who watched a single YouTube tutorial and now thinks they're an expert. So why does this matter for AI adoption? Well, when it comes to advanced technologies like AI and agentic AI, DKE can show up in a few ways. One, overconfidence, right? Leaders with a limited understanding of AI might simply oversimplify its capabilities and its decision making power, and such that it's made the irrationality in the decision making process is on the forefront, right? The second way is self doubt. So, on the flip side, even seasoned professionals can underestimate their ability to leverage AI effectively, which essentially obviously leads to missed opportunities. And believe it or not, there's an interesting thing here. Agentic AI can help mitigate some of the Dunning Kruger effect. Well, it can help by providing clear insights, right? When you're using agentic AI in the right system, as Alan and Bob have discussed previously, with clean data, you can use agentic AI to break down these complex data into actionable tasks, recommendations, and really ensure that you're making informed decisions and not just confident guesses, right? Agentic AI can also foster continuous learning in its reflection and self correction. So, using agentic AI and allowing it to improve upon its own processes nudges us to also reevaluate and refine our own strategies in business. And then finally, back to the MAC, the multi agent collaboration. When you're using multi agent collaboration systems like those in agentic AI, it creates a built in safety net. So you can share data across functions, reducing the risk of siloed and overconfident decision making. And really, one of the last things I want to talk about on this slide is the echo chamber of overconfidence in AI, and that's another Dunning Kruger moderator, for lack of a better term, right? So, as a leader, and when you hear AI being the solution for everything, and we're surrounded by those of us who are interested in this topic, it's hard for us to find ourselves not finding that overconfidence and that belief being amplified. And this could, in the context of AI, lead to us adopting AI tools without fully understanding the risks or limitations, right? So, as we use agentic AI to counter this by offering objective data driven insights to cut through that noise, the thing I want to leave you with on this slide is please check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's a clever reminder here to continue to analyze your own capability as a person using these tools, but also, keep the Dunning-Kruger effect in play in your mind at all times, and be sure that you're not tricking yourself into thinking that just because you have access to one of these powerful tools, that you are an instant expert. Remember that wisdom lies in knowing the limits of your tools when creative problem solving, really in all aspects of business and strategy, needs to be at center stage. So no one is impressed if you're going to use a fork truck to lift a coffee cup. Okay. Let's go back to the Replit agent. And we have our dashboard. Voila. Full disclosure, I have asked GPT beforehand to provide me with 4 different RFQ samples. The responses are fairly simple. Okay. I'm pulling one up right now. So we haven't given this agentic AI RFQ response analyzer too much information for the purposes of this demo, but you can imagine now working with the language model that's embedded in Replit to then fine tune your analysis, right? So all of the RFQ responses look similar to this. And what it wants me to do is drag and drop. Now, mind you, I haven't done anything but simply ask it to build this with the little parameters set in place. I'm dragging and dropping. We're going to see what it says. One more time. And don't worry if this fails, I've got a backup. How about this? We say no, and we continue on. Now, while this corrects itself, which is part of the fun of using these tools, right? I half expected this to happen. When this happens, you simply work through it to have it correct itself and provide, let's say, your insights as the buyer, right? So I highly encourage you guys to familiarize yourself, one, with the tools, right, like a Replit agent, so that you can, like a Replit agent and Agentic AI, so you know how to use these things, right? And you can start building these yourself. And it's not, for one, I know zero coding myself. So as we work through the problem of, the data upload or whatever, while it happens, I'm simply going to talk through it, right? Meanwhile, while we wait for it to actually solve a problem for us, let's talk a little bit about the future, right? I think this is, again, one of my more favorite parts of this, because the future, it's like a crystal ball, right? We all have ideas on what it might be. I can tell you from my experience with small and medium organizations, and also, the Fortune 5s, Harman and GM. We're all in the same boat, right? We're all facing similar issues with data integrity. We're all facing similar concerns with what agentic AI and AI might do with our job. And what I can tell you is that we shouldn't be looking at it as something scary or a monster, as my 3-year-old would say. We should be embracing this technology, working to adapt to it and adapt with it, because it's not about artificial intelligence. Hopefully, we see in the future IA come into play, and IA is augmented intelligence. It's about augmenting what we're doing today, those menial tasks that we don't like to do, and then freeing up our time to use our brains really for the more complex and high-powered strategic activities that we really, honestly, studies show it helps us feel more fulfilled as well, right? So 5 years out, what's going to happen? I believe AI is going to refine workflows. We're going to move beyond basics like invoice matching to super advanced tactics like spend analytics. And each success that we have in AI is going to cement the trust factor. And excuse me. And what this trust factor will do is break down the silos such that we get to start working seamlessly with finance and AI on our budget forecasting, right? We get to work seamlessly with the compliance audits for ethical sourcing, and seamlessly with all different functions to enable real-time decisions, which lead to faster contract approvals. Third, here is really the mini CEO mindset by year 5 in procurement should become prevalent. We'll essentially become the mini CEOs of our supply chain and ensure that the value proposition of the supply chains is being effectively translated into the strategy of our own organization. That means procurement's driving innovation and creative partnerships, not solving problems, not material management issues, right? Jump 10 years out now, and it gets really freaky with collaborative autonomy, where we're basically simulating negotiations, right? We can create thousands of negotiation scenarios that factor in thousands of constraints and supplier capabilities. And we may even at this point be asking it to recommend deals, right? We're in the point here 10 years out where I believe we're in hyper collaborative networks. This means AI systems are working across suppliers' supply chains, third and fourth level down, to access real-time financial data and other pieces of information like supply chain concerns, delivery concerns, and so on. And I also believe at this point we have advanced governance built in to our AI systems to ensure that we're avoiding the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? By year 10, by year 20 here, I can only imagine that procurement is now truly the CPO becomes the next CEO. And that's because these self-regulating supply chain ecosystems are self-adjusting themselves. They're rerouting goods, they're participating in negotiations, they're closing deals, and we're working on the higher level tasks. I can imagine quantum computing becoming orchestration and focused on task optimization as it learns. such that our supply chains are transforming before our eyes in a way that we haven't previously imagined. And then finally, the mini CEO, the CPO, becoming the CEO at 20 years out, we're leading ethical sourcing decisions, we're leading ESG, we're creating universal sourcing standards and RFQ standards using agentic systems, and we're leading the organization's strategy. Let me jump back to this Replit agent while we still have a few minutes and see if it works. If it doesn't, I do want to mention what I'm going to do at the end of this is publish this online, right? So all of us can use this, hopefully in the future here. Promise it'll be usable in the future. So let me close with some question and answer, okay? Again, my name's Paul Millat. I really appreciate everybody being here. Thank you all for your time. And again, thank you for the Konnect House team for supporting, allowing me to come on here and almost explode my computer. Hopefully there's some questions. Agentic AI is a very new and fun and awesome landscape for us to explore. I do want to mention, please visit my exhibitor booth. I'm kicking off today officially SourceFlow.ai. It's a RFX supplier relationship management technology that's targeting on using agentic AI systems to consolidate and standardize how quotes are sent out globally. You're more than welcome to join the beta, provide me problems to try to solve. Meanwhile, I encourage all of you to take a 30-day challenge here. Go out and leverage these systems like Replit. Talk to these systems like Replit, destroy them, yell at them like I would do if I wasn't on this phone call. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Yeah, and